So why is a property inspection important to a homeowner if it's like their primary residence?
Well, as a primary residence, whether you're an investor or you're buying it for your family, it's all about liability. And if you don't look at the liability, you don't know what kind of liability you have. So it's just like I tell people with sewer camera inspections, if you don't put a camera down that sewer pipe, you're not going to know what's down there. So it's the same thing about the whole house. If you don't have a home inspection and somebody looking at all the nuts and bolts of that house, you're kind of flying blind. You don't know what you're purchasing. You're leaving yourself open to vulnerabilities, $10,000, $15,000 sewer repairs. That's pretty common, especially on flipped houses or investment properties that might have some age to them. So anything over about 40 years old, don't skip that sewer camera inspection because those are the things that are going to come around and bite you on the backside. So you just get in front of it, and it's like an insurance policy. And when I explain it like that to a lot of home buyers, they understand it better. It's $200, $300 for a sewer camera inspection. Saves you $10,000 to $15,000 on the backside. Is there a possibility that we don't find anything? Yes, but what do you get in return? Peace of mind. So you either get peace of mind or information to deal with the seller.
What services do you provide?
I try and cover everything that I possibly can. The important ones in Arizona are going to be your typical home inspection. Sewer cams are a big deal. Termites are everywhere. So every house in Arizona has termites at some point. So when I got started, I became a termite inspector. So I don't work for a termite company, but I do the TARFs. I do all the termite action report forms and send them through a termite company to the state. And that provides a lot of value because I get up in attics as a home inspector where a lot of termite companies are not going in attics. So there's a lot of, misconception about I'm getting a termite company to come in and do an inspection, but they're not going up in the attic. They're not opening your lid. They're not looking at certain things that other home inspectors, by the nature of our job, we're up in the attic already. So we're looking at things. And if we see termites, we're going to comment on them. But most termite companies, they're going to go in there and they're going to do a walk around to the perimeter, walk around to the inside. If they don't see anything, they're going to tell you that. Just part of the game is adding those ancillary services. I don't do radon testing. That is one thing I get asked about every once in a while. Our levels of radon are very low here in Arizona, so it's not that big of a deal. But there are some people from other parts of the country that move here that maybe have been exposed to it in the past, and they want to know for sure that their house doesn't have it. So
And I come to find out, like with a lot of things with radon, it's normally if you have like below grade surfaces, like a basement or something like that. That way, they would do the radon inspection down there versus here in Arizona. It's not too many basement homes, although there are some, but everything's normally above grade.
Right. And those basements create little bubble, if you will say, underground that all those gases can kind of hang out in, and you have more exposure to the ground where the radon seeps in.
Yeah.
So we're maybe one out of 75 houses has a basement down here, so it's not that big of a deal. And even if they did have a basement, it's still really low levels.
Okay. So I know you're in the East Valley, Gilbert, and I hear a lot of information, especially like in the Southeast Valley with unsettled land and dirt and how fast these builders are putting these properties up. So have you seen, particular incidents where the dirt is unsettled and maybe you're seeing, foundation cracks and things like that?
Yeah, I see it quite often on new build properties because they'll go in and they'll grade out the entire property, lay out the foundations for all these houses, and then they'll have a huge rainstorm come in. And there's no rocks, there's no landscaping on top of that dirt. So it's all that sand, that clay that gets wet, saturated. And then we're putting in post-tension slabs. So if you don't know what a post-tension slab is, it's a cable that runs through your concrete, your slab of your house. It helps hold everything really steady. So if we do have some movement, the whole slab kind of compensates for it. But before we were doing it, if you had some settlement on one corner, that corner would drop off and it would break. You'd get a lot more cracking. So the post-tension slabs are an upgrade for those expansive soil areas, but they still move. You might have the whole slab shift, and that does happen a lot down in Queen Creek and Santan Valley right now in certain areas. They're actually seeing some depressions or some cavities forming in the ground. And that's not good for driveways, for slabs, for underground piping. Everything that's around a property that they build can move.